Let me go ahead and make this before I get up and have to get on the move. Let's give honor to Source, to the Creator, for making all this possible. Get my phone to stand up real quick. Y'all bear with me. So, those of you that probably don't follow astrology and a lot of things that's happening, let's give honor to Source, to the Creator, and the Most High for making all this possible. If you're probably not aware of what's like unfolding right now, has a lot to do with what I'm recognizing now with my journey, my experiences. How could I say this? With the theme right now has a lot to do with. This is so funny because I'm trying to fix this necklace, but if there is a huge theme right now, we just got a lot of clarity of like a lot of us are resolving a lot of karmic debt, dealing with the matriarchal. And that goes for everybody. It don't matter who you are. We are resolving a lot of karmic debt. What is karma? Karma is simply another way of saying like generational curses and so forth. A lot of things are being cleared karmically. I've been recognizing this because even with the fact of my daughter and her mother, there's been so much of a theme with me dealing with the matriarchal. The matriarchal energy, the connection to like my sisters, my grandmother. There's a huge thing on resolving, and that can have a lot to deal with what has been repressed and suppressed in a lot of your connections with your mother, transgenerational and intergenerational, if you want to call it that, emotions, mental clutter, suppressed and repressed emotions. And what this is going to allow us to flourish into or be reborn through emotionally, because when you look at the matriarchal, when you look at the matriarchal and the water energy, like we're born from water, dealing with our emotions, our emotional resonance. A lot of the biggest wounds that the world carries, or humanity, has a lot to do with a lot of karma dealing with or interconnected or connected to the matriarchal and to the mothers. If there is anyone that has been an immense amount of pain, and I mean this on like a cellular level, like if you have like your this is just something I'm just channeling as I'm going, like dealing with your cycles. Some may call it periods, but your cycles. The words coming up like ovaries, dealing with a lot of pain, basically around like that area. It's because a lot of things energetically, because of being passed through the womb, it's clearing, if that makes sense. So when you're talking about, I was talking to an elder the other day, and she was referencing how she was very close to her sister. And I've been noticing that has been a theme for a lot of people. And like basically sisterhood could be a theme, motherhood, anything matriarchally. But I was asking her, like, she had mentioned basically that she has had like heart attacks or panic attacks. And one thing that will be a theme if you learn about the chakra system is wherever energy is blocked or suppressed, and there's a lot of grief around the heart, there's a lot of things that are never been talked about. We energetically carry this shit, yo. Those who are Reiki masters, those who are energy workers, those who are claim to be shadow workers, healers, those who are spiritualists, people who operate in the field of things energetically, they know exactly what I'm speaking about, like spiritually and so forth. This is why, our mothers are the first teachers of everything, because they were the spiritualists, the herbalists, the basically the rite of passage to everything that we fucking see here right now. We experience. So I've spoken before, like a lot of people are holding in a lot of resentment from what they dealt with their mothers. There's a lot of greed, shame and guilt and grieving, like grief that is held in certain areas of the body. And it's funny because I've spoken before about the video, the previous video about as I was trying to reconnect with my mother and sister, or just that reconnection, there was an exposure of a lot of which I recognize again, it may not have nothing to do with me, but it has everything to do with like a father wound or something where, let's say, I could have, there's things me and my sisters have never agreed on and so forth. But at the same moment, I was recognizing the deeper aspect of how some women, not all, who have a father wound, or which connects to the mother wound, I'm going to break this down, is like how, let's say, a mother not guiding and protecting their children, or daughters specifically, to protect their heart, to protect their womb space. And then not only that balance with that father not actually reinstilling, is that the word? Or reassuring them of that said protection, and them never ever having protection from a patriarchal figure. And so what happens is, you'll see a lot of what has happened. A lot of women don't really have a lot of trust in men at all, because of their childhood development, because of their childhood woundings. They don't. They may have carried this, but you see it displayed so prominently, so proudly, so courageously in their either self-expression, genetic makeup, or not even just genetic makeup, but just their appearance, and what I mean by appearance is just like how they come off or express themselves. And in a deeper level, there's a sense of could be revenge or jealousy or envy. And it's not even just their fault. It's the fact of where they felt that what they were seeking was something that was never fulfilled or never gave them fulfillment, whether that be through sexual desires, whether that be through relationships, partnerships, businesses, where they end up getting the short end of the stick, or they've only seen consistent failed relationships with men or never develop a healthy one. So what ended up happening is that they display this through their relationship with a brother, with men in their family, or, they display this with, different parts, different avenues and so forth. And again, it always returns to the fact of how it can be keeping them from a deeper awareness of whether their spiritual practices, emotions, or learning more about who they are. And they hold this grudge or hold this pain within them, which eventually, I start to pick up on as I start to reconnect to people and so forth. And so this has also been a theme for a lot of people in the religious sector And it's not to attack people, whatever their belief systems or whatever they want to subscribe to. It's how it's weaponized to keep women detached from the reality of avoiding, conflict, being conflict avoidant or passive aggressive towards the real issues at hand when it comes to their own emotions, dealing with their own shit instead of blaming the other person or pointing the finger. And it's not to say they don't have truth to what it is, but I start to recognize even more that a lot of things that it has nothing to do with me. So I've been recognizing esteem a lot to do with the matriarchal. I've always said that as the world shifts, there is a new energy rising. There is a holistic woman, a woman who is in tune, a feminine energy that is rising within us all, that no longer can hold on to the old, outdated fucking narrative and story that we have been force-fed or given or projected upon when we were children. That being said, it will continuously exposing those or mirroring back to those. You will continue being your authentic self or learning more about yourself, that it will continue to mirror back to those who are holding onto that blueprint of that old narrative. And that being said, what it does is also mirror back the memory of what we've been holding on. Again, the matriarchal energy is something that will always exist because life has to be formed, and life and death, or if you want to call it death, or energy transfers or is alchemized into the next generation. It's transmuted. It's moved into the next generation and so forth. So what ended up happening is that, let's say, if for me, I'll use my experience. If I recognize how religion was used for in the family that I came from before I created my own, I can no longer not see what has kept a lot of the women in my family in such dysfunctional, dis-ease and discomfort state of being. So with that, I've had to recognize the theme, the narrative, as I remove myself from being scapegoated through, realizing who really is the enemy and enemy of self, who really is safe, who really is happy within themselves. So many things I can go on and on, but again, the theme right now has a lot to do with exposing so much of what is keeping us in a distorted state or dis-ease or discomfort. And that will be very apparent with a lot of your matriarchal figures, with a lot of your mothers. Not only that, the matriarchal energy in so many career settings, like let's say daycares. You will see daycares, shelter settings, what else? School settings, everything centered around the foundation of what the matriarchal actually represents. And so what that does is, it's like right now, there's a dissolving and also there's a resolving. So what I mean by dissolving is the old way of what a mother represented, the distortion. It's going away. And I don't care if it's religiously dealing with grandmothers, great-grandmothers, mothers, and so forth. When I say that energy is dissipating or dissolving, that doesn't just mean emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That also means physically. So that means a transition. And another word for transition is just, if y'all physical term is like death. And that's natural. That's natural. Because as you usher in, and a lot of you are ushering in these children, these spirits, these souls that are here to have a blueprint to create a world that is more safe and secure. That's fucking evolution, y'all. Anyone that's against that, again, No one's bigger than the fucking program. I'm just a messenger. I'm just here to share it because, again, as I dive more deep into myself and I get to know me more, I'm starting to realize that most of everything happens in cycles. I recently got this necklace because of the fact of like, it called out to me, and it was like, yo, the moon, if you know the crescent moon and then the star, certain things that it's one and the same, because that's what I was like untangling. And it was funny, as I was talking, I was like detangling stuff. And that's the thing that's really also happening, because I see everything is symbolic. I was detangling, or what do they call it? Entanglement. A lot of us are being detangled from the entanglement of being enmeshed in certain connections, whether it's matriarchal figures, mothers, sisters, aunties, and so forth, that have kept, and this is what's happening, that literally is unfolding, or that I'm literally tidying up, cutting ties, or resolving, because I literally just told someone that when I tried to reconnect with them, I recognized the fact that they were also a part in association with the distorted aspect of what the mother actually is, the wounded mother, and representing that in a wounded masculine way. You're not speaking life when it comes to me. Okay, that represent what my mom did, or that represented with other people that I know, whether I was in relation. Okay, so now I have to realize, like, I'm very much aware of what this is representing. So now I have to realize, like, okay, this no longer can be a part of my life. So now I have to resolve it. How do I tie this up and resolve it? This is where boundaries come in. So a lot of us now, that uncomfortability, that emotion you feel, those pains in your body as women, a lot of you are holding on energetically to things. And this goes back to the elder that I was speaking to, where she, I asked her what was her connection with her sister. And a lot of you have grown up with sisters, and again, or matriarchal figures who were very jealous and envious of you. And it's not just so much of your beauty, it was your inner beauty. It was something that they also knew that you were coming here to change. I used to express this to my partner all the time. I was like, a lot of you don't realize that you are intergenerationally carrying not only unresolved issues in your, take the T off, in your tissues, which is repressed and suppressed emotions, memories, things that some of your ancestors before you lived out, but now that they spiritually are with you, guiding you, and encouraging you, those ancestors of the highest good, now you are a representation of that in the physical. To continue, and ask yourself, what are you willing to continue? So what you're doing it can seem new, but in essence, a lot of learned behavior patterns you picked up on first from your mother or from someone. And so ask yourself, when you're talking about elevating or evolving, or even just pushing your lineage to be better, what and who is around you is encouraging that? Most importantly, not even looking for that validation or acceptance, even if you are in that position. Where are you not validating yourself? And this is where, again, I asked that elder. She was like, she had a lot of hatred toward her sister because of how they were treated. She doesn't talk to him. But I told her, I said, that can be connected to the blockage of the love you need to give yourself, instead of seeking or looking for that love in that sister or that matriarchal figure. This is where a lot of us, even myself as a man, where I had to go back in with myself. I went through a lot of purging and painful experiences. Like, it ain't just painful, it was just the fact of the deepest wound is an eternal wound, the wound that most people don't see. That mother wound is something people do not see. Those who do see spiritually can see you reenacted. And this is why you treat yourself, or, you don't treat yourself with love. You don't get along with a lot of women. You don't really have a healthy relationship. You painted a picture that you do. in your career settings and so forth, or you go into certain settings where you know you're not appreciated and celebrated, but you still place yourself there in a sense of people pleasing or acceptance. Now it's time to resolve that shit and realize that after that, you can build upon women who align with core values. Build upon that. And that's a process. That shit don't, I mean, it can, for some, depending on where you at, happen overnight, where you start anew, but you're reintroducing yourself to the newer version of you that is aligned more with your inner child, the little girl that deserves healthy love. Now, this is the thing where when you look at unresolved shit, unresolved can look like going around the same people, sisters and people, mothers and so forth, that don't treat you like shit. Because a part of you feel that's all you have. I was there. A part of me felt that I can see now with the pool, with the old narrative, I can see how